we learned in science yesterday? On your bottom, crisscross applesauce. What did we learn in science yesterday? Benji.
For a ruler.
We talked about the ruler. What does the ruler tell a scientist?
How much
Evan.
long is something small?
How long it is. Very good. And what is this? A
ruler.
A ruler. Evan, what is this called? A ruler. Very good. Who can tell me what this is called? Christopher. Or a hand? Hand's lens. Very good. And what does a hand lens do? Somebody besides Evan, what does a hand lens do? Alexa, it makes things look bigger. Very good. It makes them look bigger. Good job. What is this? David.
Hot or cold?
That's what it does, Benji. Very good. But what is it called? A
Thermometer.
Very good. A thermometer. And what does a thermometer tell a scientist?
How hot or cold it is.
How warm something is. Very good. And what about this? Raise your hand. It's a cup, but what kind of cup? Look at all the stuff on it. Vivian.
How much water do you have?
That's what it does. Very good. But what is it called? A measuring cup. Good job, boys and girls. What is this called?
Measuring cup.
A measuring cup. And what does the measuring cup tell us?
How much water or liquid?
Water or liquid. Very good, Evan. And what is this? Boy, that's what we're working with today. Gideon.
It's a thing that balance.
Like Gideon answered.
Weight.
It tells us how heavy something is, but what is it called? It tells us which object is heavier. What is it called, though?
Why do you have balance?
Very good. A balance. I'm sorry, did you have a question, David? What?
Why do you have a toy truck?
You'll see. You'll see. Don't you worry. This is called a balance. Sit crisscross applesauce. Hands in your lap, please. Thank you. Today we are going to... Yes. I know. You can tell me later, okay, sweetie? Today we're going to focus on the balance. What is this called?
Balance.
Christopher, walk this way and go use the restroom. No. This way. Right here. There you go. Go use the bathroom. Good. It's called a balance. Very good. And what does a balance tell us?
How big it is.
How much heavier an object is than another. So I have two balls here. I have a big ball and a small ball. Does everybody see it? Which one's bigger?
What is the right one?
Well, you're right. It's my left. But you're right. It's this one. Is this one bigger? Touch your nose if you think so. Very good. Which one do you think is heavier?
The big one.
The big one? Okay, well, let's find out. We're going to put our objects, one object on one cup and one object on the other. Now, when we look at our balance, okay, the cup that is lower, which cup is lower right now? Which side? Is it this one?
No.
No? Is it this one?
Yes.
Okay, the one that's lower is the heavier object. So which object is heavier?
No. The right one.
Is it the red or the white?
The red.
The white. Very good. This one is lower. Do you guys see how the cup is lower? So that tells us what? That it is
Bigger.
heavier. Very good. It weighs more. It's heavier. Good job. Now, what do you think will happen? This one's heavier. What do you think will happen if I replace this ball with a cotton ball? What do we think is going to happen? Who can tell me before I do it?
The small ball is going to be bigger.
The small ball is going to be heavier? If you think so, touch your nose. Let's see. All right, let's see if David's right. Oh boy, what happened? Which one's heavier, David?
The ball.
The ball's heavier. David was right. Give him a silent cheer. Good job, David. He was right. The ball is heavier. A cotton ball is very light, right? It's not heavy at all. This ball is not heavy either, but it's heavier than what?
A cotton ball.
A cotton ball. Very good. And how did we know that? Look at the balance again. Tell me how we know. Evan.
Because the other one's stronger.
Stronger or?
Heavier.
No, you were right. You were right, but what's another word for stronger? This cup is?
Lower.
Lower. Very good. So that's how we know which object is heavier. Does everybody understand? Do you think we can do this?
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
we're going to do a couple more objects together.
A car.
I have 2 trucks here. What is this? An ambulance. And what is this one? A mail truck. Which one do you think is heavier?
The mail truck.
Raise your hand if you think the mail truck. Raise your hand if you think the ambulance.
21.
Thank you.
21.
Okay, we got 2 for ambulance and the rest for the mail truck. Let's see which one wins. Oh boy. Oh, which one's heavier, boys and girls?
The mail truck.
Raise your hand if you think the mail truck's heavier. Okay, you guys are listening. You are right. The mail truck is heavier. Now, what about this? Looks could be deceiving, boys and girls. Which one do we think is heavier
The
now?
car. The car.
Why do we think this is heavier?
Because it's bigger.
It doesn't look bigger to me.
The mail truck.
Oh, raise your hand if you think the car. Raise your hand if you think the mail truck. Okay, the mail truck looks bigger. So, like most objects, you guys just looked at the big ball and the small ball. You said the big ball was going to be heavier. You looked at the big truck versus the little truck, and you said the big truck was going to be heavier. Now you guys are saying the little car is going to be heavier. Why do you think? What do we think, Evan?
Because it looks a little bit bigger.
Does it look a little bit heavier, maybe?
No.
Heavier? It doesn't look bigger. Look at it.
Smaller.
It doesn't look bigger. I'm going to hand both of these objects to some of you, and I want you to tell me by holding them which one you think is heavier before we test it on the balance. So, Evan, go ahead. Which one do you think is heavier?
I think the car.
You think the car is? Okay. Evan thinks the car. What about you, Angela? The car? Okay. We'll do one more, and we're going to see if everybody's right. Brandon, go ahead. Which one's heavier? The mail truck. Okay, Brandon says the mail truck's heavier. Everybody turn this way. Look at Miss Hughes. We're going to test it out. Let's see. Now, remember, this car looks smaller than this mail truck, but it may be heavier. So let's see. Oh boy, which one's heavier?
Car.
The car is heavier. So does it always, is the rule that if an object is bigger than another one, it must be heavier?
Yes. No.
No. Is this car bigger than this truck?
No.
Absolutely not. But is it heavier?
Yeah.
It sure is. So we got to make sure that we use our balance to check and see which object is heavier, not just look with our eyes, right? Because if we look with our eyes, we're going to say, oh, that one's bigger, it must be heavier, but maybe it's not, right? Okay, now let's try something else. What about all of these keys, these paper keys, versus a real set of keys? Oh boy.
Real set of keys. Whose keys
What,
are
that doesn't matter. Which one do we think is heavier?
Your keys.
Are you sure? There's a lot of keys on this one, though, versus just a couple on here. Are you sure this one?
Yes. That one.
Touch your nose if you think this one. Put your hand up if you think this. Okay, well, let's find out. Here's my keys.
Yes.
Oh, man, I didn't even move it. Which one's heavier?
Your keys.
The real keys are heavier. Very good. Why do we think they're heavier? I'm sorry, Benji, you just said it. Go ahead.
Because it's metal.
Because they're metal. And what is this made out of? Paper. Paper is very light, right? Very light. Metal is not so light. So you were right, Benji. This is definitely heavier by a landslide. Here, I'll have some of you try it out. No. Right? Yes, the metal is definitely heavier. Paper is very, very light, just like our cotton ball. Our cotton ball is what? Heavy or light?
Heavy.
Oh,
Light.
Christopher.
Light.
Very good. Remember, Chris, let's not call out unless we, okay? Evan? Oops, sorry. Yes, you may. Evan, you can pass it to Christopher and then bring it back to me. Don't you worry, guys. You have so many objects at your desk that you're going to be able to test for yourself. So if you don't touch this one, don't worry. Do not worry. Which one's heavier, Christopher? Why do you think it's heavier?
It's in metal.
Because it's metal. Very good. Okay, everybody facing forward, crisscross applesauce. We have a really fun activity to do today. Now, we're going to be scientists of our own, so I want everybody to put your science glasses on. Put them on. Check your ears, make sure you have listening ears, and put your thinking caps on. All right, we are ready to go. I need you to marshmallow steps back to your seats. Do not touch anything at your desk. I'm going to explain everything to you. Okay, let me see. Which table's ready for me? Do not touch anything. Before we begin, put it in your backpack, sweetheart. Before we begin, some of you have jobs. If you have a job in front of you, please put it high in the air. Good. Okay, if you have a card that looks like this, it says materials. It starts with an M. Materials. Put it high in the air. Okay. Yours doesn't say materials. Put it down. Whose materials over here?
This one's up.
Oh, okay.
Should we give it to
Vivian,
her?
you could do materials
Here
too,
you go.
sweetie.
Your turn.
You guys are in charge of all of the materials. We want to make sure that once time is up, you put all the materials away where you found them, clean up the desk, and get ready for us to check the work, okay? I'll tell you. If you have a card that says presenter, it starts with a P, presenter. Brandon and Benji, good. You guys, once we check, listen, when we check our work, the presenters are the only ones at the tables that are going to answer for their group. So when I say yellow table, can you tell me which one was heavier for number 2? Who's going to answer that? Brandon is. Very good. Only the presenter will answer, okay? Cards down. Shh. If you have a card that says watch the time, starts with a W, watch the time. You guys already know what you're supposed to do, right? Miss Hughes is going to have a timer on the board, and what do? Maya? Watch the time, and when it gets close to being time's up, you got to let your table know, okay? And the last one is behavior. If you have a behavior card, Christopher, you can do that for now. Behavior. Your job is to make sure that everybody at your table is on their very best behavior, okay? Do we got it? Do we think we can all do our job?
Yes.
All right, if you can do it, you'll get a special prize at the end. So let's make sure everybody does their job. All right. Excuse me, yellow table.
Are you listening?
Oh boy, we'll wait a second.
Did she say something?
I haven't explained anything yet. So we do not touch one thing on our table. Stella and Benji, sit on your bottom, face forward. Thank you. Everybody has a piece of paper that looks like this in front of them. If you have this paper and you see it, put your thumb up. Good. We have bags at each of our table as well. There are 5, do not touch them. There are 5 bags at your table. Each bag has a number. What number is on this bag? 1. Everybody look. Stella, there's no reason why you should have a face forward. Do not touch anything. Okay? Because I'm giving you instructions right now and I don't want to have to give them again. Stella. Thank you. What number is this? 1. Baggie number 1.